Mirembe arrived in Ukuda at dawn, walking beside Kato as the chickens scattered like dropped beads. Her bassinet of pots and cowries clinked softly with each step, an unfamiliar rhythm against the village's morning drum. Eyes followed her, curious, measuring, some already counting the ways a new wife might tilt a household off balance. Tendo stood with his slingshot at his hip, chin lifted as if he were the age of warriors. Naima tightened her yellow headscarf and peered from behind Mama Zuri's shawl, small and bright as a marigold in shade. Kato's voice was steady. "This is Mirembe. She brings her hands and her heart." Mirembe bowed, a respectful tilt that revealed the faint scar along her forearm. "I come to keep warmth in your hearths if you'll allow it." No one spoke of the first wife, Io, whose memory hung like a calabash gourd on a nail, useful and hollow. Not yet. The day would not hold that weight. Mirembe unpacked knives wrapped in cloth, folded her indigo dress smooth, and set a small bowl of shea beside the doorway. When she looked up, she found Tendo's eyes and held them. Steady, not pleading. Naima, by the doorway, studied the cowries braided in Mirembe's hair as if the shells might whisper secrets. The drum called again, millet to grind, water to lift. Ukuda moved, and the new wife moved with it, careful to step where the dust remembered joy. The first days were a quiet test. Mirembe learned the rhythms. When the goats nosed the fence, when the river went green, how the pounding of millet echoed from house to house like a heartbeat passed along. She praised Naima's neat plaits and asked Tendo to show her the best path to the stream. He weighed her with silence, then pointed the long way. She followed without complaint, stepping through burrs and whispers. At the river's bend, Mirembe dipped calabashes and taught Naima a game of stones and circles. The girls' laughter loosened the day's knots. On the way home, they met Baba Sefu, Kato's elder cousin, whose smile never touched his eyes. He offered to carry the water, then told a story about a jackal who pretended to guard the chickens. He never named the jackal. He didn't have to. That night, beneath the baobab, Mama Zuri tapped her stick. "A house is a gourd," she said. "Who you let drink from it matters." Kato looked at Mirembe and Tendo, measuring a distance he did not yet understand. In her mat space, Mirembe braided her hair again, setting the three cowries like watchful moons. She traced the scar on her arm, remembering another village where trust spilled too easily. Morning came with ash-gray light. Someone had scattered the seed basket by the granary, footprints half-mooned in the dust. A hen clucked anxiously. As Mirembe knelt to gather the seeds, a neighbor whispered, low and smooth, "Not everyone comes to keep warmth, you know." Tendo woke to a thin, accusatory quiet. His red bead bracelet, gift from his late mother, was gone from the peg by his mat. He tore through reed baskets, fingers shaking. "Mirembe," he said finally, voice flat as the morning sky. "Did you tidy my things?" She paused at the doorway, hands damp with river water. "I folded your shirt only." He stormed past her into the yard. Neighbors clustered. Baba Sefu's daughter murmured about thieves. A boy mimed nimble fingers. No one said Mirembe's name, yet every gaze slid toward her cowries. Kato called for calm. Mama Zuri listened to the air as if it too could steal. She lifted her stick. Things vanish where hearts are not settled. Mirembe felt the old ache, the one that never healed clean. She knelt, palms open. "Search my baskets, search my mat." Tendo did not look at her when he brushed by. Naima, torn between loyalties, stood with a foot in each shadow. By noon, whispers were river quick. New wife, nimble wife. Scar on her arm, was it punishment? When the sun bent west, Kato found the bracelet beneath the granary ladder, half buried in dust, as if it had fallen and hidden itself out of shame. He lifted it high. Mirembe exhaled. Tendo took it with a nod that was almost apology, but not quite. Baba Sefu clicked his tongue softly. A fisherman who'd seen a fish slip the net. "Careless boy," he said, smiling at no one. That evening, Mirembe prepared stew with careful hands, adding baobab leaf, smoked tilapia, a whisper of ground pepper. She invited Mama Zuri, and, after a pointed pause, Baba Sefu. "Let us eat together," she said, Food binds what words loosen. Mama Zuri approved, tapping her bird-headed stick twice. Before serving, Mirembe lifted a small calabash, rinsed and dried, and held it to her heart. By this gourd, I vow never to take what is not mine, and to guard what is entrusted to me. Her voice held steady. Let anyone who lies against this vow choke on their own bitterness. A murmur circled. Such oaths were old, older than the stories dried on the elders' lips. Baba Sefu sipped stew, eyes bright with interest. Strong words for a new wife, he said. Tendo ate in silence, but his spoon slowed, then steadied. Naima leaned into Mirembe's hip, the child's trust returning by degrees. After bowls were scraped and tongues cooled, a wind threaded through Ukuta, lifting ash from the fires. Mama Zuri said, "A vow is a drumbeat. We will hear it if it falters." That night, Mirembe set the calabash high, where moonlight could sit inside it. She lay awake listening to Cato's breathing, measuring both its comfort and its distance. Somewhere between owl calls, a goat bleated once, sharply, and fell silent. Morning would carry that sound on its back. At dawn, a cry rose from Cato's goat pen. One nanny lay with her throat nicked, life pooled at her hooves. The cut was clean, a thief's signature. Cato's jaw tightened. Goats were more than animals. Bride prices, feast promises, a man's future sketched in hooves. Neighbors gathered, tongues primed. Baba Sefu crouched, pressing 2 fingers to the blood. Not hyena, he said. A hand did this. His eyes slid predictably toward Mirembe. Mirembe's mouth went dry, but she kept her voice even. We share a fence. Any hand could reach. Tendo stared at the wound as if it were shaped like a memory. The thief used my mother's old string knife, he said suddenly. The leather strap is missing from the peg. Silence thickened. Cato looked from the empty peg to Mirembe. Did you tidy there? Yes, she said, but I did not. Before she could finish, Baba Sefu sighed, a sound for audiences. First the bracelet, then the goat. Oaths are cheap if the mouth that makes them is hungry. Mama Zuri's stick struck the dirt. Enough. We will not hang this gourd before we smell inside it. She fixed Tendo with a gaze that turned boys into truths. Find the strap. The village watched as the boy ran, then watched Mirembe as if her face might confess on its own. She stood straight, the cowries in her hair like 3 calm eyes. When Tendo returned empty-handed, the wind shifted, carrying the scent of smoke and trouble. Mirembe went to the river alone, a calculated risk. She moved slow, letting the reeds whisper their secrets. At the bend where boys skipped stones, she saw leather glint dark in the mud, the missing strap. She did not touch it. Instead, she called for Mama Zuri, her voice low but urgent. The elder arrived, breath even despite her years. Together they found the string knife wrapped in Cato's old cloth, tucked under a rock where the water idled. Footprints framed the cache, small, quick, the heel dragging. Children's feet, Mama Zuri said. Mirembe's heart twisted. Tendo? Naima? Or a child nudged by adult malice? They fetched Cato quietly. He stared at the knife, then at the prints. Tendo's heel drags when he runs, he said. Pain cracked his voice. Mirembe reached for his arm. We do not know. When the 3 returned, the river already had company. Baba Sefu stood on the bank with 2 men. We heard, he said, smiling. Truth floats. Cato swallowed. The prints are small. Small feet, big hunger, Baba Sefu replied. Mama Zuri cut the air with her stick. We'll ask the boy beneath the baobab, not here where reeds listen for gossip. As they walked back, Mirembe held herself still. If Tendo had done this, betrayal would be a circle, not a straight spear. And if he had not, then someone was drawing a circle around her. The village gathered under the baobab where truth was supposed to unroll like a mat. Tendo stood before them, shoulders squared but eyes restless. Tendo, Mama Zuri said, did you take the knife? He looked at Cato, then at the ground. I wanted to fix my slingshot, he muttered. I took the strap, not the knife. Baba Sefu clucked. Slingshots do not bleed goats. Mirembe stepped forward. The prince could match many boys. A murmur rose. Did you return the strap? Mama Zuri asked. Tendo hesitated. I lost it. Cato closed his eyes briefly. Baba Sefu leaned in, the scent of smoked fish and certainty. His mother's bracelet, now the strap, soon the goats. Grief can twist a boy. Mirembe felt the crowd tilt toward a conclusion that used her as a prop. If Tendo is to answer, let him answer without your shadow, she said to Baba Sefu. The elder cousin's smile thinned. Mama Zuri lifted her stick. We wait until moonrise. The moon shows what the sun is too proud to see. That night, Mirembe sat with Naima, braiding and unbraiding the girl's headscarf, while the baobab's silhouette grew fat with silence. Forgiveness felt far as the sea, yet she held her breath for it like a swimmer stubborn against waves. By moonrise, the village laid 3 bowls beneath the baobab, one with ash, one with water, one with millet. Old belief said a guilty hand left signs: ash clinging, water trembling, millet scattering. One by one, those near the trouble touched each bowl. When it was Mirembe's turn, she pressed her scarred forearm to the ash. It fell away as if polite. Water stilled. Millet held. Baba Sefu muttered, tricks. Tendo's hand shook. Ash speckled his fingertips. Water quivered slightly. Millet scattered, just a little. Gasps sucked the night thin. Naima began to cry, small and tired. Cato stepped forward, voice hoarse. The boy's mine. Whatever he did, the blame is mine as well. Mirembe's chest ached. She knelt to Tendo. Tell me if someone asked you to fetch the knife. He stared beyond her, at Baba Sefu's shadow, then at the moon itself, that gossiping coin. I fetched it, he whispered, for a promise of a goat for our house. Who promised? Mama Zuri asked. Silence. The elder turned to the crowd. Promises leave footprints too. Baba Sefu folded his arms. A boy's lies to cover shame. The moon slipped behind thin cloud, as if embarrassed to witness. Mirembe stood, her vow tight in her mouth. Forgiveness, she thought, is a road built backwards, stone by stone from where you want to stand. Mirembe visited Baba Sefu at dawn with a basket of cassava. For the trouble, she said, because respect could be its own trap. He waved her inside, pleased to be honored. His compound smelled of smoked meat and advantage. In our house, Mirembe said lightly, a man once swore he could call hyenas with a clay whistle. He bragged for weeks until we asked him to show us. Baba Sefu laughed. And? He hid behind a termite hill and made dog sounds, Mirembe said, smiling with only part of her mouth. We caught him by dusting the hill with white ash. His knees told on him. She turned to go. If you ever need ash, cousin, I have plenty. The smile cooled on his lips. As she left, she noted the fresh goat hide stretched to dry. 3 small footprints near it, one dragging. She returned to Cato. Spread ash near the granary ladder tonight, she said quietly. And a string bell there. The knife's place, the goat's place, the bracelet's place are tied like beads on a thread. Cato studied her. You still trust the boy? I trust that children move in adults' winds, she said. That night, the yard was an ear. The ash lay pale as first light, the string bell faint as a spider's cry. Mirembe lay awake, counting breaths, each one a prayer neither to win nor to lose, but simply to know. Sometime between cricket chorus and first rooster, the bell chittered. Mirembe was already moving. She slipped from the mat, signaled Cato, and stepped into the yard where the moon spilled milk over ash. A figure froze halfway up the ladder, 1 foot dragging, hand reaching for the beam where the bracelet had been found days ago. Tendo, Cato whispered, broken. But Tendo stood behind Mirembe, small hand clutching her wrap. The figure turned, and the mask of certainty fell from Baba Sefu's face like a rotten mango. Ash bloomed on his calves, white flames licking arrogance. He stammered. I heard a sound. Came to help. Neighbors blinked awake like embers prodded. Mama Zuri arrived, shawl heavy with night. She looked at the ash prints, the boy standing where innocence belonged, the string bell still vibrating like a truth not done singing. Tendo, she said softly. Who asked you to fetch the knife? The boy's voice was steady now. Baba Sefu. He said we'd get a goat of our own, but I must keep quiet. When the goat died, he told me to say nothing. Baba Sefu opened his mouth, then closed it, ash whispering on his skin each time he moved. Cato bowed his head. Cousin, why? Because goats make men, he spat, finally honest, and I am tired of your tall shadow. Silence held, then broke like a gourd dropped from height. At dawn, the village sat in a half circle. Baba Sefu stood in the center, ash now a chalky confession on his legs. Mama Zuri spoke without heat. A house is a gourd. You cracked it to drink alone. Baba Sefu tried to salvage pride. The boy obeyed me. Punish him too. We will, Mama Zuri said. For silence that harms is also a theft. Tendo's lips trembled. Mirembe kept her hand on his shoulder, a tether across deep water. Cato faced his cousin. You wanted my goats to dry on your line. Baba Sefu's eyes loosed a brightness that had fed on other people's luck. Punishment was decided. Sefu would repay with 2 goats and labor on Cato's fields through harvest. Tendo would serve a month grinding millet for elders and speak a public apology. The village murmured agreement, the old scales balanced by familiar weights. Then Mama Zuri turned to Mirembe. Your oath held, but a wound was made. Will you tend it? Mirembe met Tendo's gaze. I will, she said. Forgiveness is not a soft mat. It is a woven one, tight and firm. Later, as the morning widened, Mirembe and Tendo set the goat pen right. He spoke haltingly. I thought, if we had our own goat, Naima would smile again. She will, Mirembe said, when the goat is earned, not stolen. He nodded, and the knot between them loosened, just enough to breathe. Forgiveness began his work. Tendo rose before sun to grind millet at Mama Zuri's mortar, arms burning until sweat drew white maps on his skin. He fetched water for elders whose knees had traded speed for wisdom. Each time he passed Mirembe, he caught her eye. She did not look away. Baba Sefu labored in Cato's fields, hoe ringing against dry earth, back bending like a bow with no arrow. Pride made poor shade under noon. Naima, small diplomat, carried calabashes between the households, water to Sefu's wife, porridge to Mama Zuri, mending with errands what words couldn't yet sow. At night, Mirembe sat with Tendo by the goat pen. She taught him knots, the kind that held try without choking it. When I was a girl, she said, I broke my mother's clay pot. I hid the pieces. She found them and made me grind clay for weeks until my arms sang. The next pot I made with her lasted years. Tendo listened like a man listening for a river during drought. I want to be better than my fear, he said finally. That is all anyone can promise, Mirembe replied. Above them, stars scattered like millet defying gravity. The pen smelled of hay and second chances. Inside the house, Cato watched from the doorway, a quiet witness to the stubborn way love insists on returning. When Tendo's month ended, he brought Mama Zuri a small wooden bird he'd carved from fallen acacia, modeled after the one on her staff. The carving was simple, true to its subject. For the noise I made in your quiet, he said. The elder weighed it in her palm, pleased. A good apology is useful, she said, like a bowl that holds both tears and water. Mirembe and Tendo went to the river to wash away what clung from the past weeks. He waded ankle deep, splashing. She rolled her indigo hem and joined him, laughter startling fish. On the bank, Naima arranged smooth stones in a circle, then broke it deliberately and remade it tighter. Like you said, she told Mirembe. Exactly so, Mirembe smiled. Beneath the reeds, something glinted. Tendo reached and lifted a small cowrie, lost perhaps in the first daily scramble after Mirembe's arrival. He pressed it into her hand. For your hair, he said. To make 4. She studied the shell as if it might choose her. No, she said gently. 3 has been enough. Let this one be ours. A pocket shell. He nodded, proud of a gift that didn't need to be seen to be believed. Harvest came green gold. Cato slaughtered a goat, one of the 2 Sefu had repaid, and invited the village. Smoke rose in ribbons. Drums kept time with happy feet. Baba Safu arrived carrying a pot of groundnut sauce and kept his eyes low, which was its own kind of apology. Cato took the pot. Eat, he said, neither warm nor cold. Mirembe moved through the yard like the quiet nerve of the feast, checking fires, refilling calabashes, smoothing disputes before they sharpened. Tendo shadowed her, learning what leadership looks like when it doesn't need to shout. Mama Zuri told a story about a crocodile who learned that the water's mirror wasn't an enemy but his own face. People laughed, then went thoughtful. Later, Mirembe lifted her calabash, the oath gourd, now filled with sweet sorghum. I vowed to guard what is entrusted to me, she said. Today that is more than a house. It is this circle. The crowd drank, the calabash moving from hand to hand like a tame sun. In a corner, Naima tied a small yellow ribbon on the goat pen, a child's blessing. For keeping, she said to no one in particular. Music swelled, not to boast but to breathe. Even Baba Sefu let his shoulders drop, which might be the beginning of wisdom. And the moons last night, Mirembe spread a reed mat patterned like her dress, triangles crossing like shared roads. She called Tendo and Naima. Cato joined, his hand brushing hers. Forgiveness, she said, isn't letting the thief keep what he stole, but returning what's ours and not living as if our house is always under raid. Tendo placed the pocket cowrie in the center. Naima set her doll. Cato laid down his goatskin bag. The baobab's shadow roofed them. Passing, Mama Zuri murmured, "A house is a gourd. Guard it together." Mirembe met Tendo's gaze and found no distance, only a boy and a mother who had chosen. Quiet settled, smelling of earth and kept promises,